Hello everyone, and this will be a tutorial on the IB Standard Level English Language and Literature Paper 1 section. This will be 20% of your grade, if I'm not, 25% of your language and literature grade, and I'm going to share to you my top tips and tricks of how I did it. So first of all, on a quick breakdown, the mark scheme is that there is 5 marks worth on the understanding of the text. So it's text type and purpose and all of that. B is the use of stylistic features. So that's the PEE paragraphs, the individual analysis, the diction, how well the author's intention is. That's pretty hard. Section C, which is organization and development, and language, which is the use of our use of terminology. So using the correct term when we identify a particular stylistic feature, and it has to be very, very accurate. So make the examiner think that you're super, super smart. So if you do SAT, drop in all your SAT vocabs at that particular point. So there are 5 sections. Yeah, 5, not sections, but yeah, it's worth 5 marks, 5 marks, 5 and 5, with a total of 20. And surprisingly, I was really surprised. I got a 19 out of 20 in the May 2017 one. So I'm going to show you how I prepared for this particular P1. So yeah, whenever you approach a text, let's just say the November 2016 one in general, what do I do? What's the first thing that I do? Number one, before everything else, or in the 5 minutes of reading time, of course, the main thing you do is pick the text. Go with your gut feeling. Which one can you analyze more and choose that? For me, for my mock exam, it wasn't this one. Surprisingly, it was this one. But let's just say I'll pick this one, right? For example. Ooh, that's what is it? It's not a web page, but it's like an iTunes web page or a landing page from an iTunes application. That's pretty cool. So first thing I do is I read the guiding question, these two, 1 and 2, and they're at the back of my head the whole time. That's just the first thing I do. If I can fit it within the 5 minutes of reading time, that would be really good. Second of all, what I do is I read the whole text. So yeah, once I read that, I just read the whole text one time through. If I don't understand it, I might go back a few times, but yeah, that's the main thing. Next of all, the third thing I do is I gaps the text for introduction. If you do not know what gaps is, it's an excellent way to show, in section A, the rubric. Section A demonstrates a very good understanding of what it is, its purpose, its context, and yeah, section A. And also good for section C, because it gives oh, sorry, that's a bit thick. Once you read the guiding questions, once you read the whole text, you do gaps. Gaps is meant by genre, audience, purpose, and style. So just brainstorm it on the spot. What is the genre? What is the text type? I would say it's a page in an iTunes, online page in iTunes App Store. Make it really, really specific. Keep the audience also really specific. Don't just say technology lovers. You can say, what is the intended audience? I don't know. See, it says 12 plus here. Ooh, so 12 to, let's say, 18, 19, 20 years old, who loves reading, discovery, blah, blah, blah. So make it really, really specific as an intended audience. If there's any alternative or potential audiences, also mention that on the spot, right? So that's audience. Third of all would be the purpose. What is it to do? Is it to educate, to inform, to persuade, to get people aware of this product? Possibly. Ooh, it just says a prospective buyer. So to attract. Maybe that's just depends on the purpose. And style. Is it informal, formal? What is it? I would say it's pretty informal for the particular style. For style, you can leave that later. That's for analysis later on. So this is just the first 3-4 minutes of the 90 minutes that you get to write this. gaps the text, style it. The fourth thing I do, this is my style. I don't know if you guys would do it or not, but I have a checklist that I made with my teacher, shout out to Mrs. Tyrrell, about what to include in the different criterion A, criterion B, criterion C, criterion D, each and every single time. And I figured that in order to incorporate both guiding questions and try to vary my response to impress the examiner, I split my page into 4 different parts. One of them would be language, one of them would be structure, another one would be key techniques, the other one would be style. Style can be both formal and stylistic features. The difference between them is formal features is what you expect. So like in iTunes page, you expect there to be a buy sign, right? Or let's just say there has to be a buy, purchase this app, or this, view in iTunes. You expect that. That's what you expect. Stylistic feature is the author's intentions, or the publisher's intentions. So why did they include just wow? What's the justification behind it, right? Yeah, so that's basically it. Stylistic features, the author's reasoning for such action, and formal features essentially is like these screenshots. You expect screenshots to be in there. Of course, the question is always the same. Include comments on the significance of context, audience purpose, formal and stylistic features. That's just the general question. But you got to focus on these 2 questions. So what I do after I split language, structure, keys, techniques, and style, by the way, this is my plan. I assign 2 of them, or try to assign at least one of them to one of these language, structure, keys. So if I think which one iTunes web page appeals to a prospective buyer of the product, let's say if I found a really good one on language, I would assign guiding question 1 to it, and I would assign to what degree do you find this product entirely revolutionary? Key techniques might be good for that. So I assign guiding point 1, and guiding point 2. For structure and style, if I can't fit any of them, then don't force it. If I have another good key technique point or another good language point, feel free to, as a replacement for that paragraph or additional to this paragraph, just analyze more on language, but try to vary your response a bit. It's hard to analyze structure, yes, and it's hard. That's why if you analyze it well, you get really good marks. So once planning is over, that was my plan, by the way. I aligned 2 of each. Yes, that's what I've done. Okay, so that is essentially my plan. But how in the world do I analyze this text, right? What is the key behind, how do I analyze it? So when I finish my planning and I analyze it and I brainstorm, this is good. Let's start off with an introduction. Let's just start off with an essay. Sadly enough, I don't start off with saying this text is about something. I feel it's a bit boring, and I'm a risk taker sort of person. So my first sentence would be something general about this topic as a whole. So because in my May 2017 essay, I talked about gravitational waves as my very first sentence, impress or hook the examiner. I would say something about, let's say, Pokemon Go has revolutionized this world to be something amazing, blah, 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 blah. And with the in the modern technological era, there's more and more chances for people to publish their apps online. Something like that, a bold ass statement as the first thing. The examiner is like, wow, that's cool. Then you go on, that's my very, very first line. Then I go on into my second point, which is gaps. Right, I planned that earlier. This text is a web page, online web page, blah, 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 iTunes, blah, blah, blah. The intended audience is blah, 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 blah. The main purpose for this text is blah, 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 blah. And the style is blah, 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 blah. That's how you do it. That's my introduction. But not yet. I say my organizing principles. My organizing principles will be, so state whatever you planned earlier. Will be related to the author's diction, blah 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 blah. It will be the use of structure when trying to convey the meaning. Link it. Always try to link it whenever possible to the guiding questions, but don't force it. Right? It's just there to guide you. So appealing to the prospective buyer. So intended audience is really important. My third organizing principle is about that, and fourth, I usually do 4 organizing principles, and they are the fundamental basis of what my essay will be structured on. So let's say I have a really, really good point on prospective buyer, so the author's use of diction. So instead of PEE paragraphs, I use peel raw, but I don't force it that often. What is P? P is the same. It's a point. What is your point? So the author uses or decides to put something to attract the buyer. So that's really bad, but yeah. Evidence. This is shown in embed the quotation. So by using blah 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 blah, something like that. Next, you do analysis. So through the use of that, this demonstrates or this exemplifies, this shows or this alludes to, something like that, and then link it back to the guiding question. After you link it back to the guiding question, you do a reader's response. So what would the intended audience think at that particular time? It's also good to contrast it between, if it is possible, the contemporary audience and old audience. That's really, really cool and interesting. Peel raw. Alternative interpretations. Right? What could your analysis possibly mean other than that one point? Alternative interpretations. And lastly, writer's intention or choice. What was the purpose? Link it back to stylistic features. What is the purpose for doing such? So you do that. So that's your introduction. You do that 4 times. Oof, tiring, right? And then finally, in the last 10 minutes, you end it with, to conclude, this text effectively or doesn't blah 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 blah. And then I always end it with an ethos, pathos, and logos every single time. But you gotta know what it means. Ethos, pathos, and logos. Pathos is the easiest. So it means, what does it appeal to the audience? How is it emotionally appealing to the audience? So the audience feels attracted to buy this, right? That's pathos, passion, if I'm not wrong, something like that. Ethos is about credibility. So when you look at iTunes and it's published on an iTunes webpage, of course it's got to be credible, right? So, and logos is about data and reasoning. So not specifically this one, but if there is a speech like saying like 75% of people who take this product, blah, 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 that 75% is logos and it's data. Yeah, so that is my plan. I mean, how I write my whole essay in 90 minutes, right? And I just refer to this over and over again, the cheat sheet of exploring the context, covering a range of ideas, structure, language. Oh yeah, also in your introduction, whenever possible, or how do I go back up? Whenever possible, just drop the context in. What is the context? Is modern day, as stated earlier, modern day, right? The bold statement, or include the different contexts in the reader's response, right? Old, modern day, as I stated earlier. What else am I missing? Modern today, yeah. Key techniques, all of that, plan well. I think that is covered well. Yeah, and use formal, tightly focused, register the whole time. Use correct terminology, tone, mood, all of that, similes, metaphors. Know exactly what they mean. Alright, so that's how I write my English P1 essay. Right, and how I plan it. right? Remember, gap